18th at 6:30. Let's go ahead and do the roll.
Hedges.
Here.
Hallinan.
Absent.
Duval.
Absent. So I'm by myself this evening, but we do have 3 different pieces of business that we will consider. So meeting minutes were sent previously. Obviously, I assume we can't approve those. So we'll skip that, and just if we can add that to the next meeting, that would be great. But if you could go ahead and read the first piece of business, that would be great.
A resolution authorizing the use of opioid funds to Haven House and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. So this was a request that came from Haven House for use of our opioid funds that we have. So with us this evening, we have Executive Director Lisa Johnson from Haven House. So I'm going to let her speak.
I have to read this because if I don't, I'll cuss or something. So I better stick with it. Hello, thank you for allowing me to address the Finance Committee of Circleville City Council. I've had a lot of experience in this building, but I don't think that I've ever addressed council or committee before. I don't think I ever have.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We should point out, Lisa, that we have experience together in this building.
This is true. We sure have. Katie was like 8, I think, maybe 6. Yeah. That makes me really old. As you know, I'm Lisa Johnson, the director of Haven House of Pickaway County Incorporated. We have a 32-bed facility with 2 kitchens, 12 sleeping rooms, 6 bathrooms, laundry facility, a classroom, administrative offices, and storage. We survive through grants from the Offices of Criminal Justice Services, the Ohio Attorney General's Office, Pickaway County Marriage and Divorce Fees, Pickaway County Community Foundation, and individual donations in our annual fundraisers. Our funding is allocated, Our funding is allocated and changes each year, and some years we struggle, just like everyone. So every dime helps. We provide services to all victims of domestic violence, but also provide the housing for homeless women and children. The homeless in our shelter come from many walks of life and circumstances, but they are all in crisis when they come to us. The homeless in our community are not all addicted to drugs or in any way use drugs, so it is necessary to separate homeless from drug abuse. However, in saying that, many of the individuals and families that come to us have had or continue to have attempted to self-medicate and have had or are addicted to opiates. 17 years ago, when one of my own came to me to get help for opioid addiction, there was a waiting list for those beds. And by the time the bed came available, they became hopeless and continued to use. They no longer wanted help. Now, thank God that isn't the case. Due to the recognition of the opioid epidemic, and then more and more opportunities became available to treat those who were in need of assistance. These facilities have helped to lessen the addictions to opioids. However, after treatment and leaving the treatment centers, they often have nowhere to go to maintain their sobriety. That is where Haven House comes in. Some of our clients who are homeless and some of our victims of domestic violence are coming out of sober living, but try to live with their family and friends, but because these family members are still using, they cannot remain clean. We often receive calls from Magistrate Shelley Harsh's drug court, from Judge Peters at Municipal Court and Pickaway County Children's Services to see if we have beds available for these individuals and families to help them maintain a clean and sober living environment until they're able to transition into their own permanent housing, which we accommodate if in any way possible. This is why I addressed you tonight. We are requesting $10,000 or more, if available, from the opioid funds to pay partial pay to our empowerment advocate and for Essentials to do her job. Our empowerment advocate provides services to our clients through one-on-one casework to identify any barriers to their sobriety. She connects them to resources within the community to remove the barriers that she and her client have identified. She promotes services and engages for self-directed plans to improve their overall health and well-being, promoting long-time recovery of addiction. I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you, and I invite you to call me and make a time and come and do a tour of our shelter so that you can see how important the services we provide are for the community and for the constituents you serve. Keeping in mind that you must keep our clients' identity confidential. And I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thanks, Lisa. So one of the things that is in the drafted ordinance is we are receiving approximately I think it's $31,000 annually for the opioid funds. One of the things that we have asked that the recipients do is return the following year and give us a description of the program, how the money was spent, the number of citizens that participated or were served, if the program will continue in the following year, any changes planned to it, and then the request for funding for additional years. That's something that you would be willing to
Oh,
do?
of course. We have to do reports for all of our grants, and reporting is, it's a matter, we keep track of all of our numbers. We keep track of the service we're providing, and that wouldn't be difficult at all.
Okay. And then
But the only thing we can't do is provide you names.
Sure.
We
Yeah.
can provide numbers, we can statistics, that.
And then the other thing I wanted to call out was based on Haven House housing people of the county in general, this ask is being made not only to the city of Circleville, but also to the county commissioners, correct?
That's correct.
Those are the questions I have. President Keller or the other members of council that are present, do you have any questions for Lisa?
I do. I want to first of all say thank you. I had an opportunity to have you be at the meeting with the Housing Security
Yes.
Alliance. And I just want to do a shout out of, you had 180 people
Yes.
on Saturday night for your.
At our fundraiser,
delegate-
yes, it was wonderful. Good
And
turnout.
when it started, you only had.
We had 10 tables, which would have been 80.
Yeah, so
It's
great.
every year. This is our 19th year, and it's a wonderful. I mean, first thing when I came in the door, there were 4 people that asked me how was the fundraiser. So, everybody that sees my face knows who I am. They knew who I was before I went to Haven House. Now, since I've been at Haven House, I don't think there's anybody in the county that doesn't know who the heck I am. I couldn't hide if I wanted to, and I wouldn't want to. But well, there's some days I might want to. But
Again, thank you. So 32 beds,
Yes.
right?
yes,
What happens if you're full?
Well, we have to turn them away. Now, if I am full and I have a DV victim, a domestic violence victim, that is within our county, we will put them on a cot. We will do what we have to keep them safe.
Thank you.
And homeless is different. I don't get homeless funding. All my funding is domestic violence. However, we don't, we find that a lot of our women that have come to us that are homeless have been victims and are like, went and lived with mom. Well, that didn't work out. And then went and lived with an aunt, and that didn't work out. So then a year later, they're still homeless. So,
So, again, thank you.
mhm.
A lot of times those two scenarios go together.
Well, they always go together if they've come to Haven House. I mean, they're homeless. Everybody that comes in my shelter is homeless. They have nowhere to go that's safe.
Yeah.
So,
Any other questions for Lisa?
Keep up the good work, but care
Thank
for
you.
yourself too. Thank you.
thank you. And thanks for listening. And if you have any questions, give me a call. If you want to come and do a tour, I'd love to have you. I'd like to see funding in the future, I'd like to see a line item that says homeless funding for the city of Circleville. I take care of all of your homeless. And I'm not bragging, I'm saying that's exactly what happens. You have people that are not sleeping in your alcoves in the downtown because they're staying at Haven House, they don't have to. Or they're not sleeping at their cars at Walmart because they don't have to because they're at Haven House. But if we don't exist, the homeless population will be more visible in Circleville, I guarantee. So thank you all and keep us in mind
Thank you.
whenever you got money.
Thanks, Lisa.
So given the 2 absences we have as chairperson, I can move the ordinance forward. So I would make a motion to move it forward on March 4th for review to council.
Correct.
All right.
Will you need me to come to council?
I certainly don't think it would hurt. You're not required to come, but just since we do have a couple of people that are absent, it might be helpful if they have questions.
What date is that?
It'd be Tuesday, March 4th, the first Tuesday in March.
First Tuesday in March.
Yep. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And that'll be at 7 o'clock, Lisa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Melissa, can you please read B?
And resolution authorizing the city of Circleville City Council to execute and file an application with the Ohio Historic Records Advisory Board for possible financial assistance through the Ohio Archives Grant and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, ma'am. President Keller, would you like to speak to this?
I sure will. Thank you. So as you know, we're trying to get a handle of our records that are stored in multiple locations. And Melissa's done a lot of hard work to maybe secure grants to help us with this project. It may include scanning, storing, storage, digitizing, all the things needed to get us to where we need to be compliant and to clean up our document boxes and mess, if you will. So I want to acknowledge Melissa's effort, but this is just one grant that she's looking to apply for that can hopefully land us some monies to help with the cost of it.
Great, thank you. So any effort, I think, to receive a grant would be welcomed. Any other questions from members of council that are present? Nope. All right, well, again, being the only member of the Finance Committee meeting, I would like to make a motion to move this forward for review on March 4th in front of all of council. Thank you, ma'am. And if we could read the last item on the agenda, C.
An ordinance amending the annual appropriation ordinance and the Safety Forces 0.5% tax fund, 227 capital improvements fund, 306 waterworks operating fund, 808 waterworks improvement and extension fund, 819 water plant rehabilitation fund, 838 and sewer replacement fund, 934 of the city of Circleville.
Thank you, ma'am. So this is a housekeeping ordinance that's coming through. Unfortunately, the auditor couldn't be here this evening due to a family situation that popped up. So in quick review, again, it's about a $30,000 increase to Safety Forces Fund 227. It is an increase of $10,857.72 to Fund 306. And then it is a waterworks operating fund increasing by $500,000 for the intertransfer for the work associated at the waterworks operating fund. And then we have an increase of about $80,000 to Fund 819. And then an annual appropriation of the water plant rehabilitation fund associated with that work again for about a $1.3 million increase. Questions or comments about that? Comments, Mr. Keller?
Yeah. So Michelle, if you could, there's two different funds from the enterprise fund, 1.3 million in both of those accounts. That's a significant appropriation. Just if Brian or Jim could just put a note together.
Yeah.
To send out why we're appropriating 1.3 million times two, as well as the $500,000 in waterworks. That would, we need to have an explanation why we're appropriating that much money. And it can be an email to all of council. That'd be fine. I just know Mark's not here to answer the question.
Yeah, which was unexpected. And
Yeah, it was unexpected. So just all the things related to utilities. Again, we're appropriating money in the safety fund out of Fund 227, 30,000. I'm sure there's a good reason the fire department needs that. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, and I wish that I could answer that question as well, but I cannot.
Yeah. So just have your departments that are requesting these appropriations, just to put a short note together and send it to all the council.
So due to the absences, I'm still going to recommend that it move forward, and then it'll be able to be, that feedback will be able to be reviewed by all of council. So I will make a motion to forward this on with, on March 4th with the understanding that that supplementary information will be forthcoming. All right. Any other concerns, comments, questions, additions to the finance meeting?
No.
All right.
I do have one more.
Yes, sir.
Michelle, question for you. I'm catching you off guard here. I'm sorry. So we're a year and a half into our shortfall of over $2 million in Fund 227. Can we see your proposal around addressing that shortfall next month sometime during a finance committee meeting?
So I think on the 4th, you will hear a portion of that.
March 4th?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Based on your question to me surrounding information technology and cybersecurity. We just met today with the staff to talk about this specifically and what that looks like. We are scheduling a meeting in March with all of the department heads for that because it is the end of the first quarter to be able to come to you. So if it would be okay, can we do that in April, the beginning of the first meeting in April?
Well, it's got to go through Katie's committee. And it would be nice to, what I plan to do is send an email out, maybe yet this month or early next month, asking council if they have ideas or suggestions, to meet with you one-on-one to give you their thoughts and opinions. And then ultimately, the administration proposes the reductions or how you're going to address the shortfall, with ultimately council making the final decision. So, okay.
So I anticipate we'll have, at least one finance meeting in March. If you're not ready for that, we could do it in April.
Yeah, if we can make it like the fourth week, that'll give us enough time
We could probably do
for council members to meet with us
Sure.
and for the staff to meet.
All right, any other comments or questions?
So my apologies.
Sure.
Going back to the first on the resolution about the $31,000 in that fund.
Yeah.
Haven House has asked for 10,000 of that.
Mhm.
Have other applicants requested?
So last year, we provided funds to PAC, to PICA, somebody help me out, and PARS. I knew there were 3 Ps.
Okay.
And then I know Mr. Hallinan has a proposal that's coming through the judicial committee for some of those funds as well.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. Any other comments or questions? All right, hearing none, we will be adjourned at 6:46 with a council meeting to follow at 7.
City council will start right at 7 o'clock.